Okay, so here we go. Paper one, a quick overview of the reading section and question one. So, in terms of your timings, then it's really important you know the timings for each question because what you don't want to do is spend lots of time on, for example, question two, which is only worth 8 marks, when question four is worth 20 marks and question five is worth 40. So, it's really important we try and stick as closely as we can to these timings. So, obviously, you can just see question one is the list four things you learn. I was spending 5 minutes for your 4 marks. Question two, the effects of language, so 10 minutes, 8 marks. Question three, the effects of structure, 10 minutes, 8 marks. And then question four, to what extent do you agree? And remember, you're going to agree, 25 minutes, 20 marks. And then question five is the choice of a description or story, and that's 45 minutes and 40 marks. So, obviously, you can see we've allowed 10 minutes of reading time, and I'll talk about how you're going to use that in a second. But just know if you're one of the students that have extra time, obviously you just adjust that to your timing. So, for example, question two, rather than having 10 minutes, you'd have 12 and a half minutes for that 25% extra time. Okay, so in terms of how I would spend that reading time, well, the first thing I would say is read through all the questions, including question five, and just highlight the keywords in the question so you know what you're looking for when you come across it. And also, you can then start kind of subliminally thinking about question five and maybe kind of generating some ideas for that. So, what I would do is I would read the first section of text for question one. And that's usually the opening kind of paragraph or so of the source, and then I'll answer question one whilst it's fresh in my mind. And then I'd kind of follow the same procedure for question two. So I'd read the section of text for question two. So again, usually it's the second or third paragraph, and then I'd answer question two. So you've got that kind of fresh in your mind when you do it. So question three is the first question that requires you to read the whole source. So at this point, I then go back and I read the whole source from start to finish, highlighting things for question three, structure, and highlighting things for question four, agreeing with the statement, whatever it might be. So, a couple of key things to note in terms of when reading through the source. It's important you're obviously highlighting things, but equally, don't highlight everything. It's no good just highlighting every single word you come across, because obviously then it just becomes a different color, a massive color of different things. Also, make short kind of key annotations next to the text when reading through. So, for example, metaphor, and maybe like a key word, the effect example, happy, whatever it might be. Okay, so in terms of question one itself, well, question one asks you to list four things you learn. Now, in theory, it's quite a straightforward question. However, not always the students get 4 marks. So therefore, it's really important just to kind of make sure we don't make any silly mistakes because you'd be gutted if it cost you a grade. So the kind of two things I would say is make sure the answers come from within the specified lines. So, for example, if it says lines 1 to 10 and your answer comes from line 12, then you get no marks. The other thing that tends to catch people out is when they write about things that don't relate to the question. So in a second, you'll see a short little text about myself. And if you write about, for example, the weather, you wouldn't get any marks for that. So in this case, it says read lines 1 to 6, list four things you learn about Mr. Adam. I won't subject you to ChatGPT's story of me and Greg's, but if you want to read it, there's the example. So I picked out from that, for example, Mr. Adam is tall, has a receding hairline, is wearing a blazer, and has a teal pocket square. So those four things, tall, receding hairline, wearing a blazer, has a teal pocket square, would get you a mark each. So it's worth saying you're not expected to write a paragraph. It could be, as you can see there, a couple of sentences. It could be in the form of bullet points. What you can't do, for example, is you can't just write, for example, teal pocket square. Okay, so you have to make it obvious it's about, in this case, Mr. Adam. Okay, hopefully that's helped, and I'll make a video for question two shortly.